Hey guys, Mitsu here, and this is AR Mock Battles number 2. Today we'll be having a look at Pyrrhon's defense. Pyrrhon asked me to test his defense. He wanted some feedback, he wants to improve it. It's his own design, and we're going to have a look at it. I think some very interesting themes come out that a lot of people can learn from. Things to pay attention to, setups to be prepared for, and also like unit coverage, like do you have one common weakness or not? So let's first find him. He's somewhere down here on the list. There he is. So let's have a look at the map, and I'll discuss things in abstract first before we get into the actual solutions I have to the map. Okay, so you have a few very powerful units here. You have a duo Marth who is here in order to get duo's hindrance. Now, I'm not quite sure to which extent I like that. I'll get into that later. But, you know, the need to have a duos here in order to use the duos hindrance is a bit of a limitation. I'm not sure they're the best choice, honestly, on all setups, and they limit your the variety you can have on your team. Others. You have some very powerful reds here. You've got a Lift, he's +2, he's plus defense, he does a lot of damage, and you can see also a very nicely merged Lysithea. Then there is a nicely built Eliwood, he's stacking a lot of attack, and then there's Mirabilis, the second mythic, doing her debuffs. So I'll discuss all these units, of course, LAzura here. I'll discuss all these units in turn, what I think the design of the defense is, and how it fails. So, first of all, the design of the defense, in my opinion, is a pretty clear rally trap. You can see there's a rally on Lysithea. The problem is it never procs. Never. The reason it never procs is because Marth has joint tone speed. So LAzura and Eliwood both get 5 speed at the start of the turn, regardless, right? I mean, always. And so rally speed, which gives speed +4, cannot be used, right? The speed is already +5, and therefore you cannot rally a +4 on top. It doesn't work, right? At that point, there is no assist partner. So Lysithea won't rally, and then the whole rally trap fails. And that's why I can bait Eliwood, and in the second setup I'll show, and that's a very easy fix. Get rid of this. In general, I'm not the biggest fan of visible stats on defense teams because there still are enough people who run panic manners, right? And then it actually becomes a liability if you are very heavily buffed, that you have then debuffs, and people can make use of them debuffs. Now, it is clear why he wants the buffs here. I think it's because he's running an LAzura, and LAzura can then, give buffs to all stats. But my experience has been that the buffs to all stats are very inconsistent. Like, when it works, great, you completely thrash the opponent, but moving up the ranks, people exploit it more and more, especially because it requires LAzura to have a real weapon, which makes her baitable. Like, even with a double fortress, I can bait her. I'll show you that I can bait her with her Wings of Mercy. So she doesn't dance the unit as she doesn't dance the unit, she attacks. Now, in this case, it's also because there is no dance ally, but I don't think she would Wings of Mercy in. Otherwise, if I'm remembering my eye rules correctly, she does just 5 damage to the unit I'm thinking of, and therefore she attacks. Anyhow, other units to look at. So Lysithea, very nice. One thing I will note, let's go through all the units. You'll see that the C slot has no hardy bearing anywhere. Really, really important, guys. At least have one unit with hardy bearing. Otherwise, you are very susceptible to vantage strategies, right? The moment I can get your units below 100 HP in a way that it's enough for Crony to clear them, I've won the whole map. Now that's what this is here for, right? Oh, I can't move in before turn 6. I need Hector. Well, but I can have a bull tower here. And many still have the bull tower here, right? I moved it because Dumas kept doing pew to my damn bull tower. But, like, even here, it's enough to get out most of the threats. And then there's another problem. Like, I can test this bull trap and then know if it's the real one or not. If it's the real one, I'm actually in a bit more trouble than if it isn't, because if this is the real trap, I've got free damage on your units. And this is something I'll use with Crony. I've got free damage on them. So the bull trap here is actually a liability for you because it allows me to do free damage on your offensive units because it goes into 3 spaces, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the only ones who don't get the damage are these 2. Now, it would be different, slightly different at least, if you, first of all, had a healing tower. Second of all, if Mirabilis was in the middle and Lysithea was outside. Mirabilis then would have probably ground orders here in order to allow Lysithea to warp in. Then the bull trap wouldn't damage her. It's kind of like that one incredible setup where I also have fat fingers and I missed the last pop, where I thought first, oh gosh, like why wouldn't he put Olivia with ground orders in the corner? And it was actually smart because the bull trap placement was so that Kagero in the corner wouldn't get hit by the bull trap. So my Kronya play would have actually worked, interestingly enough, if Olivia had been in the corner, because then Kagero would have gotten enough damage so that I could take her out. That's something I hadn't considered ever. It's a very, very interesting move, honestly. And you could do something like it. You could avoid the bull trap damage by having Lysithea here, and for that you would have Mirabilis with ground orders. And honestly, I wouldn't put Iote's shield on her on a defense team. It's great if you want to use her in like player phase and training her up or whatever. That way you're not constantly worried about arrows. But we're in Anima, so most people will have some Altina running with them, and it will give extra attack. Now, a bow will usually double her. Either it's a very slow bow who doubles naturally, like, who doubles due to a brave weapon, like Legendary Leaf, or it's a bow that's just faster than 26 speed, usually. I mean, I don't think we have anybody who would be used who has speed less than 26. And then all they have to do, because she has very low HP, is 19 damage, right? And 19 damage on 38 defense means what? 57. Yeah, and she only debuffs in this setup if the other units are next to each other. There are no other debuffs beside the Bright Shrine and the Dark Shrine, and you know, I don't think that's a good idea. Just take off her Iote shield and debuff this lane too using a ploy. And that way her weapon procs more consistently because this whole lane is being ployed by her. And not many are going to have res over 41 in Astra season. And beyond that, maybe consider another ploy user so that you can debuff the 2 main lanes that worry you. And then that way her actual debuff applies to the whole range you're interested in. At the current moment, I can, with all of my teams, I can avoid her debuffs. The moment I can avoid her debuffs, I'm not so much worried about her weapon being troublesome for me. And you do want that actually to get into play. That's how I built my defense, right? The idea is that you can debuff your opponents as much as possible and get her weapon into play. And when you do so, it's very effective. So I have covered Mirabilis, I've covered Lysithea. Mirabilis should have a ploy. Either 2 ploys. If you have ground orders, give her ground orders. It's incredibly effective on her. It's her best skill by far, I think. I think he's fine, honestly. I do like the attack smoke. I would give Eliwood a smoke on his C slot. Rouse makes no sense. Why is it there, right? It's pointless. Give him a smoke. Same thing we'll do, right? He'll initiate, he'll move in, he'll do the smoke, and then Mirabilis' weapon will proc, and she will debuff them further. Now, I did mention that the rally trap doesn't work because they're getting the buffs. But something to note, you don't actually need the rally trap, okay? There's 2 ways to go at this. You can allow the rally trap to work and then let people bait here and get killed by Lysithea. It's still going to be risky because they're both blue, okay? Like, what is a unit that could take this theoretically? I'm not entirely sure, but a merged up Crom, I'm pretty sure would be able to take it. And who else could be able to take it? Like maybe a merged up Brunya, I guess. Like I've seen some CC Vantage Brunyas. Depending how they're run, I think they could take it, honestly. Anybody else though? Yeah, blues basically. I mean, there's a double thing. So here's what I would consider instead. First of all, Eliwood is too slow. Okay? Deathblow 4 sounds great on Eliwood. I don't think it is. I would either give him Swift Sparrow 3. I would give him Fury 4. Fury 4 is, in my opinion, the best to give him, aside from Attack, Speed, Push 4. So that from Brave Camilla, and I think Eleonora is her name. And also Bernadetta. Why? Well, it adds to his speed a lot. It also does recoil damage, so that the kind of Wings of Mercy plays you are kind of showing hints of are easier to pull off. And yeah, that's like probably the two main reasons. The other reason in terms of Fury is it gives him added bulk. And so his defense will be higher, his res will be higher, he'll be harder to one-shot. And you don't want him to be one-shot. Like, that's a key point of your strategy. The other thing, I don't think I've mentioned it yet, if you don't have a rally, right? If you don't have a rally trap, you can still be very effective in the following sense. You can move the Bolt Trap 1 down, okay? And give Eliwood Lunge. Now, first thing that's good about that is my Kranya play that I'm going to be doing is actually not going to be possible anymore in the same way, because now the Bolt Trap only hits Eliwood. Right, it no longer hits the back lines. So like Marth, he's not hit at all. I would have to go on turn 6 with Hector using his Bolt ability, and at that point I can only get one pot with Kranya. The other thing is, if he has Lunge, right, and the trap is here, and he attacks a baiting unit, then what happens, he'll usually survive, especially if he has like Fury 4, Fury 3, whatever. He'll lunge them up onto the Bolt Trap. At that point, the Bolt Trap procs, it does 50 damage, like all of the backline here, right? If the trap is here, it does 1, 2, 3, so it hits like here, 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 like all of that, it hits. So if you have like units there, they're all like heavily damaged. And at that point, you know, Eliwood moves down. If there's a unit here, it's probably like at what, 10 HP at most or something like that. He's probably taking them out. Like even if it's Fjorm, he's doing a lot of damage. He'll probably take them out. At that point, then he can be danced. Like then the dancers can fly in. At that point, I would consider again a weaker weapon just to make them not attack. And from there on out, then he can take out another unit. So that way he can take out 3 units or 2 units, and the third one, which has been right again, it's been lunged here, is in Lysithia's normal range. So there's basically like 2 ways to go. Either you go full on Rally Trap and just consider that, or you go Lunge Trap, Wings of Mercy, kind of clear the back line. Like those are 2 different strategies you can play with this. Both are viable. Something else I need to say as a preclude? I don't think so. I think that covers it all as a sort of like first comments. I will now actually go into testing. Wow, it's slow. So let's start with Kranya. The first thing is you really should consider putting this, even if you don't change anything else, put the trap somewhere else. It's not, I mean, it's obvious that these aren't the real traps, I think, first of all, but second of all, like, I can test them. Even if I wasn't sure, I can test them without any sort of risk, right? So turn 1, I can just go, oh, I wonder if this is the Bolt Trap. Oh, it isn't. Now I know this is the Bolt Trap. Now I've got a Vantage user and I can just smite them here and let the Bolt Trap do damage. Now I still have a bit of a risk in how highly leveled it is, but it's a viable strategy, right? And it turns out that it's actually decently highly leveled, and this is going to be a bit of a problem for you. So let's get Altina out of the range of the Bolt Trap, right? The Bolt Trap's 1, 2, 3, so I don't want her under the Panic Mana, otherwise she's going to get damaged. And we're going to wait until turn 3 for the Bolt Tower to proc. Now, it would be, of course, even more effective if the Bolt Tower was in the middle here. If it was there, yeah, like, the whole team is basically vantageable, regardless if I hit the Bolt Trap or not. And, yeah, that's just, it's a big weakness. At that point, you definitely need a Hardy Bearing, and a Healing Tower would be quite helpful, I think. But the Hardy Bearing is a must. Definitely give Lysithea Hardy Bearing. Okay, now it's turn 3. We see the damage has been done. I can't use the dual skill, as you can see, because of this, but it doesn't matter.
Consider it done.
Oh, damn! Let's restart. I put the wrong Altina there. Bum. How did that happen? Anyhow, let's just do this quick. I'll kind of skip through this. Come on, here.
You have my trust.
Yeah, that's a swap Altina. Here we go. Yeah, and turn.
Consider it done.
Okay, and now we can move her up, get her onto the bull trap, which we know is real. You see it's a 50 damage bull trap. And here's the thing, like, you know, either really nerf LAzura, or don't. Because here's what happens. She attacks, of course, because there's no rally, right? I mean, who should she rally? She can't rally LAzura, because LAzura is getting speed. She can't rally anybody, right? So what happens is LAzura attacks. And she doesn't do enough, because she's only 35 attack, and Crony has 32 res. And yeah, so Crony can survive LAzura. And at that point, she is proc Glimmer, and yeah, forget about it. You're not surviving it anymore. All of the units are at 1 HP. It's an easy clear, pretty much. Oh man, I just realized I did a goof again. I put Hector in the bull tower range. Can I still save it though? I think I can.
With utter certainty.
And again, if I do this, she'll probably move straight down, which I don't want.
Time to kill?
I mean, can we survive? Oh yeah, Jafar can survive her easy. So yeah, there's no problem actually. We'll just do this. Bum.
Okay. Consider it done.
Yeah. And from here on out, right, Jafar gets hit once, but it's no problem, and we can get Kranya to the last pot, and I actually made it harder for myself than it had to be, but, you know, I still got the clear. So that's the first clear. It's a vantage play. Again, things you should definitely do. Introduce a Hardy Bearing on Lysithea. Now, in this setup, the problem is, I could still clear it, even with it, but at that point, so even with the Hardy Bearing, I could still clear it, right? At that point, though, I would think, would I have to go turn 6? Yeah, I think I'd have to go turn 6. So let's assume she has Hardy Bearing. I would have to go turn 6, and I don't think I would get any pots. Yeah, probably not. Probably no pots for me, and that would be kind of horrible. But yeah, I mean, Rally Trap and all, if she has Hardy Bearing, at that point I have to take her out first. And taking her out first means putting myself right here. I can get there with a smite, and then take her out after the bull tower hits. But the problem is, of course, I am here, I'm in range of all units, and they will all attack me, and at that point, it's over. I'll just show what I mean, though. You know, it's probably the easiest setup I can do. So we're just going to skip through to turn 6, because that's the only turn where I can do it. Alright, still no proc, I can only do it on turn 6. Now, would I do this? Depending how desperate I am. I think I can lose 2 pots per week. If I had already lost pots and I still had like 4 ladders, I might consider a different strategy. But like otherwise, I'd probably take it. So yeah, definitely a weakness to consider. Right, I can do this. Oh, the damage. And then I can take out the Hardy Bearing unit. And that's why you want to trap here too. So probably the gravity trap. And again, like, consider like which other traps you're going to use, unit placement, and yeah, but definitely if you have hardy bearing unit, put them in a way that you cannot snipe them off of the spots where they're snipeable, right? There's some kind of hindrance there, usually trap, because then that way, like, your most threatening unit to vantage plays is not snipeable by the vantage unit in question. That's really, really what you want. Okay, like at this point, yeah, it's a one-turn clear, basically. Alright, no pots, damn it. Other things. Where was he here? Is there anything else I have to consider with the Kranya? I don't think so. I mean, the other strategy I could take, I could also hit him there. If she did, knowing that she doesn't have hardy bearing, I can, even if this wasn't the trap, the other way I would do it is use Hector's Bolt ability, move her up, attack Marth. We one-shot him actually, since his defense is pretty abysmal after that. And what happens then is the others get enough damage that I can take most of them out. The only one that is left is, I think, Mirabilis, because Lif goes and suicides as well after getting danced by Mirabilis. And I can take him out with Hector or anybody else. I can still get one pot with Kranya, but I don't get the other one. So that's the sort of other way I can get one pot and with that play, but I can't get two when I activate on turn 6. Another thing to note, if I had a more merged Sita, young Sita, I could probably take this side. I barely missed the kill on Lif, but the others, if I place young Sita here with Goad Flyer support, I one-shot Marth due to double effective damage. I one-shot Eliwood on retaliation, and I'm very close to one-shotting Lif. Now, again, the one-shotting part is why I recommend Fury on Eliwood. Like, every bit of bulk makes it more likely that he'll survive an interaction, a battle, and that's really important. And so that's why I personally think that unless you're like going for a one-shot kill and he's got overlapping range with other threats that can then take out a low HP unit, regardless of vantage or not, I do recommend giving him Fury to add to his bulk, make him less likely to die on retaliation. Yeah, and now we can go to the next setup, the main setup that I can use, and you'll see what I mean with baiting Azura this time. So Chrom has no problem tanking a Eliwood. He's very bulky. And this is the main sort of thing where I'm not sure you want the duo. This is water season, right? Water season means Chrom, basically. Now, here's the thing. You've got an armor. He's effective against armor. You've got 4 reds. The only one that's even conceivably threat is Lysithea. And if I had a merged Chrom, like maybe even a res build, there are some, I probably wouldn't have a problem. I don't have a merged Chrom. Now there are merged Chroms, but so there would be a super hard counter to this team because it just has no blue unit coverage by design, and I do think you should have blue unit coverage of some sort. So let's just go through the solution, and you'll see again the main problem is still the fact that Lysithea cannot rally, so the rally trap doesn't work. And yeah, so at that point you see like Azura flies in, she does 5 damage to Altina, that's the reason. And Lysithea can only really rally towards the end due to the way the buffs are distributed. Now she's exposed in the middle, I take her out. I don't want Chrom next to anybody because he'll be debuffed by Mirabilis. That will take away from his defense, and then actually them two together can take him out. So what I'll do instead is keep Fjorm there. I will move Altina here, I'll keep Naga there, and this. And we're done. And Chrom survives no problem. You saw like the effective damage that Chrom does on Marth is pretty insane. So, at this point, you might ask, okay, but like, how do you clear this from here? Like with both pots? Well, that just has to do with the double smite place. So I have smite on both of these units, and I can do this. I can then smite Pyrrhon here, move her
Orders, please.
here, and then I can bait Mirabilis with Leon. Beautiful. So this, take this out, this, take this out, and just get Leon out of the way. That's it. So, yeah, I think that covers everything I wanted to do. Summarizing. Decide, LAzura, do you want her to do the visible buff thing? If so, yeah, keep that on, but something to consider because it only comes into play when the rally trap works, the sort of buff to all stats. If the opponent initiates in a way that the rally trap is broken, what you have instead then, especially if they have a panic manner, is a team of debuffed units. So it's really just something to consider, like, do you really want that? Otherwise, you can do the same thing as Sleepy, give him a, 3-star blue mage's weapon, her rather, sorry. And then she has 25 attack? She's not doing anything then. She's always going to use her Wings of Mercy. The other thing to consider is, do you want the rally trap? You can still do the rally trap, right? It's an option. The other option, though, is having a lunge trap instead, and that then giving Lysithea the range. And I definitely recommend giving Lysithea a Hardy Bearing. I do think a healing tower in the long run would make sense. I'm not sure. It's something to consider whether this is really necessary. I mean, you can cover Kronia just with a very powerful Hardy Bearing unit, and you don't need this duo tower. You'll still get cleared, probably with 1 unit lost, but then that's 20 lift loss. At that point, honestly, not too bad. Maybe you'll even kill 2 because there's still quite a few threats here. There's still 2 dancers and whatnot. So still a lot of things that can go wrong for the opponent. So yeah, definitely do decide which of the 2 setups you want to run. If it's a lunge trap, then put the bull trap here, and put the bull trap here and give Lysithea Hardy Bearing, put the gravity trap here so that Lysithea is protected, and you're good. The double advantage of that, of course, would be that the bull trap doesn't damage your whole team, and that's quite useful. It only damages Eliwood. You saw how I used the bull trap against you here. With the lunge trap, it wouldn't work. It only hits Eliwood. So even without a healing tower, your bull trap isn't actually that damaging to you personally. If Eliwood actually procs the lunge trap, he's the only one getting the damage, right? Because the bull trap would then be here, the range would be here, and there's actually no unit of yours in that range. I think personally, that's where it's difficult. I get that you have Marth here because he's a one movement ranged unit, and that way you've got overlapping range here. But I do think that you might be better off with a green here, so a green unit, and then it's just a question of, is there a green you have that is somewhat well merged or something like that has the same range too, which you can give Wings of Mercy to in a way that it actually will do something. And that's where I'm not quite sure. Maybe Winter Jafar actually might be an option. He might be an option. But then I think this side is probably the biggest weakness of this defense in the long run, because how do you cover it? Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I would have to see, once you fix the rally trap issues and all of the rest, how the AI moves then. I can't quite predict it. All I know for sure is that Lif gets to here, and he's usually enough of a threat, honestly. But well, you would have to see how it works. So that's just something to experiment with. So yeah, takeaway, definitely give Lysithea Hardy Bearing. Consider the trap placement. Protect Lysithea as the Hardy Bearing unit. Whether you put the Bull Trap or the Gravity Trap, I would recommend the Gravity Trap myself. Yeah, put it there. And with the Bull Trap, depending what you want to play, whether it's a Lunge Trap or a Rally Trap, change. I myself think the Lunge Trap will probably kill more units. I'll just talk through it quickly. This video is already way longer than I wanted it to be, but let's just talk through it quickly. So the way it would work is this, right? He moves in, lunges, hits the Bull Trap. At that point, his HP is, well, basically non-existent. He's going to be at 1 HP, but who cares? The back line is at 1 HP too, unless they see it and they like put them way back here. But then it's like a question, what do they do then? You can definitely then take out this unit. And then they're like stuck in the back line. There's still a Lysithea here. At full HP, she's taken out whoever was lunged. There's still a Lift, there's still a Mirabilis, and then they start moving. And then it gets really scary. Like, depending how Lysithea moves, consider like she can move here and then get Dance, and then she can go 1, 2, 3. So she actually hits this part here. So even if you want to hide your units back here, this spot isn't open to you if she gets Danced by Azura. So it's still a really big threat, the Lunge Trap. If you don't see it, you're probably going to lose 3 units in 1 turn. If you do see it, it's still hard to prep for it. So that's the way I would go, but you know, it's up to you. Rally Trap, Lunge Trap, which of the 2 you go, your choice. Yeah, but so just some small fixes, and I think it will perform much, much better. I think I'll leave it at that. I've already rambled long enough as is. I hope you have a nice day, and yeah, see you next time. Bye-bye.